Mr. Adams, we heard the comments both from the dais and from other witnesses that coal ash has radioactive elements in it. Is that predominantly radon?
Radon is present, as are a number of other things, and radon testing is required across this country. In some places, you cannot get a residential mortgage without doing radon testing prior to executing the mortgage. So this is a material that's known and it's being addressed.
Well, I was going to say it apparently is in a significant portion of my district in the clays and other rock material, and so when I bought my house, the testing was done, and we had to have a radon mitigation unit put into the house. It's fairly simple, but we had to have it put in. It wasn't very expensive, but still. And we're not anywhere near a coal ash pond or a coal generating facility, but there was the radon. All right, let me get to the questions I originally had. As you know, Mr. Adams, Congress reinforced the Coal Ash Solid Waste Determination in 2016 by amending the Resource Conservation and Recovery Act, or RCRA, to have states and utilities look at contamination risk and make sure coal ash ponds are structurally safe. I do agree we need to make sure that coal ash ponds don't fail. Could you explain how the EPA's coal combustion residual rule under the Biden administration didn't take into account the advantages of beneficial use and restricted what types of CCR, or coal combustion residual sites, are considered harvestable?
Yes, when the rules were put together, we raised the issue of harvesting as an opportunity to take the materials out of disposal units, landfills, and ponds, and put them into beneficial use. At that point in time, the rule was at review at Office of Management and Budget, and they basically listened to us and said, we don't have time to really investigate this in this rulemaking for this particular rule. So we raised the issue of harvesting way back when the rule was being put together, and it was ignored. Today, we're getting that industry off the ground, and it's proving to be very successful in increasing, and it is removing ash from storage units in several places around the country already this coming year, about 5 million tons, which will grow in the next coming years as well.
I appreciate that. Ms. Freearch, last year the Biden EPA issued the legacy coal combustion residual rule that was not based site-specific risk. If some of those coal ash sites don't pose a significant risk, shouldn't they be evaluated on a risk-based standard under the Resource Conservation and Recovery Act, or RCRA, to understand if the costs are being spent to actually address contamination or potential contamination?
Thank you for the question. Yes, we agree that without having the risk-based site-specific conditions, it was a one-size-fits-all approach. So the sweeping part of the legacy rule was all the new classes of existing impoundments at inactive or active sites just kind of got swept into one class and not evaluated on a site-specific basis. Whereas APCO has closed-in-place impoundments that were closed under a state-permitted program with post-closure monitoring that would be considered a CCR management unit today under the legacy rule. So why would you want to reopen something that's already been closed when it met standards for the states?
I appreciate that. Mr. Glatt, can you explain to me why was coal ash restricted for some other uses in the 2024 rule when in 2015 regulation, EPA specifically mentions how coal ash has beneficial uses and is not, let me repeat, not classified as hazardous waste?
Mr. Chairman, yeah, I struggle with that a lot. Is that sometimes I wonder where the science is in all of this as we move forward. And at times I felt those decisions were arbitrary, not really looking at the science behind really what the risks were associated with coal ash. And so I can't tell you why they went that direction, other than I do think they ignored some of the science and actual work that was being done in the states on this issue.
Now, can you explain how each site is different and how you'd expect to evaluate a coal ash site? And I assume you do that in your state.
Mr. Chairman, yes, we do. You know, you have to look at everything that's site-specific. North Dakota geology is different from the east part of the state to the west part of the state. North Dakota geology is different than West Virginia geology. And so you have to look at site-specific conditions and really what the risk is. And then based on that, then you come up with a plan that's protective of the environment and public health. The states need that flexibility.
I appreciate it. I now yield back, my time being up, and I recognize the ranking member.